charter leads only to poverty. Now, that is a very important text and will relate with us as students. The writer of the book of Proverbs is Solomon, the wisest man who has ever lived. We cherish people who have wisdom because they have a lot to speak. And when you listen to them keenly, whether they talk plainly or in Proverbs, you get a lot to learn. So in all labor there is profit, but idle chatter leads only to poverty. Two things are contradicted. Number one, there is labor, and labor is equals to profit. Number two, which is contradicted with that first line, is idle chatter. So idle chatter could also mean idle talks, or could also mean just mere talk. So we can summarize it to talk. So just mere talk leads to poverty. These two things are contrasted in this verse. And when you look at it, whenever you find two things contrasting, then it gives you an opportunity to choose which line you're going to follow. So at the end of my presentation, which will be brief, then you will also have made your mind that which is the better route that I may take. Now, labor, in all labor there is profit, but idle talk will lead to poverty. I have written these three things or statements which are commonly spoken of. Number one is that action speak louder than words. How many have heard that statement? Is it true? So action speak louder than words. There are those who are very good in speaking, but do not rise up to take action. So when you speak and you just speak and you don't take action, then it will not be translated into anything productive. So you better be a person of action and not a person of just mere talk. Number two statement that I have also written in relation to this verse is that there is something we call cause and effect. How many have heard of that? Mr. Gwari, is that in physics? Is there in physics? So I can't explain it where Mr. Gwari and Velma is because I forgot my physics. But one thing I remember having heard in a physics class is that there is cause and effect. Now, how do you explain it? Just a simple statement. Mr. Gwari, how do you explain it? For every action, there is a reaction. So you act, then there is a reaction. There would not be any reaction if there is no action. And then the last statement that I have written in relation to that verse is that you reap what you have sown. So you sow and then you reap. These are very important. I've also written this statement. I read this from one author who said that the world is full of non-pickers, talking to non-pickers about peak experiences. I think you need to write that, sister. Do you have a pen? Now, the world is full of non-pickers, talking to non-pickers about peak experiences. Did you get that? Now, the world is full of non-pickers. Non-pickers is non, then hyphen pickers, to mean that there are pickers, but these are non-pickers. Peak is somewhere at the top, that very great and high experience. So there are those who have not had that high and great experience, talking to those who have not that high experience about high experiences. Now, if you analyze that statement, then you would realize that these two, the non-pickers talking to non-pickers, are talking about what they don't have any experience of, right? So if you talk of what you don't have experience of or about, then it means that you are building castles in the air. You are talking about something you don't understand, and you can't understand it because you've never been there. The wise man writes and says that in all labor there is profit, but idle chatter leads only to poverty. So there is the side of action. When you get into action, when you get into doing, there is definitely a profit that you are going to get. If you don't put in any effort or any action, then you don't get a profit, but instead you land on the side of great poverty, of great want, of great need. So in every field, there must be that aspect of labor. There must be that aspect of doing. There must be that aspect of putting into action what you have contemplated or what you have known and had. When you put it into action, then there is productivity at the end of it, that you have a profit. It is not only in the business field. It is not only in the agricultural field, but it is also in your educational pursuit, that in your studies there is what is required, and that is labor. So when you labor, you definitely have a profit at the end of your study in your very respective schools. What would this labor mean? I have written again 3 important things that labor would mean for a student. In all labor there is a profit. What would this labor mean for a student? 3 important English words. Number 1 is that this labor would mean to a student industry. Number 2, this labor would mean to a student devotion. And number 3, this labor would mean to a student conscientiousness. How do I pronounce it? Huh? Okay, let me spell it. conscientiousness. How do you pronounce it? Huh? Japunji punjo kisungu. Now, when you go back to school, ask your teachers of English how to pronounce it, or you can look it up in the dictionary. But what would this labor mean for a student? 3 important words. Number 1 is industry. Now, I have just checked the meaning of industry in the dictionary, and it is persevering determination to perform a task. In all labor there is a profit. So for a student who is undertaking his or her studies, one thing which is required is industry. And industry is persevering determination to perform a task. Persevere. Be determined. Perform the task before you, and the end result is a profit. Amen. In all labor there is a profit. So number one, there must be industry. You must be an industrious student who is persevering in his or her determination to perform a task which is before you. And the task before you, which has taken you to your respective schools, is to study. Number two, which is required of labor in respect to a student, is devotion. Devotion. I have checked the dictionary definition of devotion. They are numerous, but this commitment to some purpose. So when you are committed to a purpose, you are devoted to that purpose. Now what you are doing, you do with great commitment. You don't just do it for the sake of it. You don't just do it because people are doing it. You don't go to class because it is time for class. But you go to class because there is something you are going to do in class. And you are committed to that purpose. Then the last point is conscientiousness. And I have checked the definition of this, and it says that which is characterized by extreme care and great effort. That which is characterized by extreme care and great effort. So labor to a student would also mean that you pay attention to affairs that demand your interest. You pay keen attention to that which demands your interest. And the main interest of a student at this time is not how many friends you have. Praise God. It is not how well you can speak. It is not how you matter in school. But what is of great interest is, was it an A or a B? Or a C or a D? Or letter E? Amen. Did I say it right? That which will be of great interest at the end of a term, at the end of your 4 years in school, is that what am I getting out with? It is not how well I was dressed in school. It is not how motivating I was in my speech. It is not about your color, but it's about what you carry in your paper. That is of great interest. So the last point in that says that you must have extreme care and great effort to those things that matter, those things that are of great interest. And your great interest in school is your studies. When you do that, the wise man would be right to say that in all labor there is a profit, but idle chatter leads to poverty. Now somebody says that men do to a very great extent earn for themselves their good or their evil fortunes by what they do. So if you want to have good, it depends so much on what you are going to do. It depends so much on your disposition. That will do you good, and you will earn that respect for what you do by those who are around you, or from those who are around you. You will earn that. You may also earn disrespect from those who are around you by what you do. So in all labor there is a profit. Men by great extent earn for themselves good or evil. So if you want to earn for yourself good, then you must labor. You must not just talk. I know it's a common thing. Today we'll be told about placement. But it's a common thing. You talk to a young lady, student, and, Victor, and what do you want to become? The quick answer is a nurse, isn't it? A quick answer is a doctor. And so it's a doctor talk that I want to become a doctor. It's a nurse talk. I want to become a nurse. I want to become a teacher. It's a talk. Now, the talk of I want to become a teacher, if it is not coupled with action, with labor, would lead to poverty. But I know there is no poor doctor. Doctors are rich, isn't it? So if it leads to poverty, then it means you don't eventually become a doctor, you become something less than a doctor, which can lead to poverty. But when the talk is coupled with action, then it bears fruit. It bears profit. I say that the world is full of non-peakers, talking to non-peakers about peak experiences. We may reduce that to school, that we have in school those who talk. I went to school so many years ago, secondary level, and I was in a very great school. And in that great school, we could brag. And this bragging, I know it was also in Oyugogango sometimes when I was a chaplain there, that sisi hatuongei na watu kutoka Rayuer Secondary. Bwana asifiwe. Owiro girls would also say, sisi hatuongei na maboys kutoka Rapogi Mixed. Sisi tunaongea na watu kutoka Rapogi. Bwana asifiwe. Sisi tunaongea na watu kutoka Kanga. Oyugogango tunaongea na watu kutoka wapi? You know, talking to people from Kanga and bragging that you talk to people from Kanga does not bear fruit. Right? What only bears fruit is labor. And this labor for a student would require industry, would require devotion, would require conscientiousness. And so I say as I close, in all labor there is a profit. Whatsoever is worth doing is worth doing well. Praise God. If studying is worth doing, it is worth doing well. Could I say that again? If studies is worth doing, it is worth doing well. If going to school is worth doing, it is worth doing well. So take your time and make sure you do well in the going of school. Make sure you do well in your study, for the end result of all labor is a profit. But if there is only idle chatter, it leads to poverty. May God bless us. Let's believe and pray. Father, Lord, we want to thank you and bless your holy name. We lift you on high, King of glory, for thou art good and loving. In all labor there is profit. Idle chatter will lead to poverty. If our dear students are to study, if studying is worth doing, then it is worth doing well. How I pray, Lord, that our dear brothers and sisters will find it convenient, will find it favorable, will find it good to put into action what they have dreamed, what they have thought of, what they have aspired, what they have desired. Their ambitions would require labor. This labor would require industry, devotion, and conscientiousness. How I pray, Lord God Almighty, that will be the experience of our dear young ones, that at the end of their study, there is profit. Our humble prayer in Jesus' name.
What do you say? Thank you so much. At this particular time, I would like to welcome our facilitator, Dr. Oloch. How many do, together with me, welcome him to speak to us? Doc, you're most welcome.
Good morning. How are you? Though you said good morning, but it is afternoon. So I do not know whether that is an indication that you are tired already, or that you do not have a sense of time, or you are conformists. You know, there are people who just flow along with authority. So if the authority, the authority is the person who stands when you are seated. That is the best definition of authority. So there are people who, when the authority says it is morning, even if it is 4 p.m., it is good morning. But it may also be as a result of the fact that we may not have been alert. So this is a very, very important activity. We need to start well, and we need to greet each other properly, and also have a sense of time and sense of alertness and sense of direction. So good afternoon. Good afternoon, students. Are you alert? Are you alive? Are you here? Are you happy? Are you all candidates? Can I see by a show of hands who are the candidates of this year from the respective schools? Candidates 99.93% are candidates. I'm seeing, those are teachers at the back. Can I see teachers? Teachers, and then, of course, the principal of my school, where I'm a board member, a school that I'm so proud of, that we started from scratch. And I'm happy with what you're doing there. The president of the conference, one time we had a call, and because he knows what I do, he wondered whether we could do what we are doing to the rest of the country in this part of the world, and most especially in the schools that are sponsored by the SDA Church. He wondered whether it was possible that we have a career guidance forum for candidates. And then I told him that it is possible, and we organized the date of today. So this is a very important activity for us and for you as candidates, because we are going to engage in a very honest and open and frank discussion on careers. I'm happy that you've been accompanied by your teachers and the principals, and I know the discussions will be impactful, especially for you candidates who are hoping to write your exams sometime towards the end of this year. So, I'm John Oluoch. I'm director in charge of placement and career development at the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service that we call COOPS. We refer to it sometimes as COOPS. So COOPS is a student placement, career mentorship, and government advisory agency. We were established by an act of parliament in the year 2012. And we have some mandates we owe to the people of this country. The first mandate is coordination of placement of government-sponsored students to universities and colleges. We have 74 universities in this country. We place students in 69 of them. We don't place in only 5. The 5 that we don't place in are National Defense University, Aga Khan University, Strathmore University, Umma University, and United States International University, USIU. The reason why we don't place students in those universities is because of the nature of their existence. The National Defense University, for instance, is a strategic military installation, and they have their ways of identifying students who are in the military for further studies. For Aga Khan University and USIU and Strathmore, they have their issues that require them as independent institutions to govern themselves independently. So we don't place in those in those universities. Of the 69 universities that we place in, 39 of them are government or public universities. 33 are private universities. We also have 35 teacher training colleges in Kenya run by the government. 3 of them, Kibabii, Kagumo, and there's one in Western province, the name escapes me. Lugari, yeah. Kibabii TTC, Kagumo TTC, and Lugari TTC specialize in secondary teacher education. So they train students in diploma in secondary teacher education. The rest of them, the remaining 32, specialize in diploma in primary education and diploma in early childhood development education. They are all run by the government. Then we have 11 national polytechnics. The government soon might add some more, but currently there are 11. We have 190 institutes of technology. Some of them are called either institutes of technology or technical training institutions. About 190 of them. And then all the ministries of government have a college or a few colleges that train students in their mandate. So these are public colleges. They are TVET. They place students. They train students in diploma, certificate, and so on. So, for instance, Ministry of Agriculture, they have Bukura Agricultural College in Kakamega. Ministry of Transport, they have Railway Training Institute. They have Kenya East African School of Aviation. They have Kenya Marine Academy, and so on. Ministry of Tourism, there is Utalii College. Ministry of Wildlife, there is Wildlife Training College in Naivasha. Ministry of Energy, there is the college run by Kenya Power. Ministry of Water, there is Kenya Water Institute, KEWI, and so many. What I mean to say is that nearly all ministries of government have colleges. And so in total, we as COOPS place students in about 330 institutions, universities, teacher training colleges, national polytechnics, institutes of science and technology, and so on. Now, we place students at degree level for universities, at diploma level for TTCs, again at diploma level for national polytechnics and TVET institutions. We place in certificate, artisan, and craft levels. The students that we place are sponsored by the government. That's why COOPS places students under government sponsorship. So the sponsorships comes in two ways. The first is through capitation per student. Money is channeled to the institution where you have been placed by the government per head. And again, the second way of sponsorship is through Higher Education Loans Board. If even after the government has channeled that capitation in respect of your candidature to an institution, but you still feel that you are needy, you still feel like you cannot get the balance, then again we forward your names to the Higher Education Loans Board and you are eligible for that facility to support you. Now, we place students who have scored A plain, A minus, B plus, B plain, B minus, C plus, C plain, C minus, D plus, D plain, D minus, and E. So we place students who have done and acquired any grade at KCSE. Many a times when people talk about COOPS, students think that that is a body that places students to universities. Universities, in any case, are the minority where we place students in terms of numbers and statistics. Because like I've said, we place students in only there are only 69 universities. But we have over, like I said, 300 and something other institutions where we place. So in terms of places of placement, the universities are the minority. In terms of candidates for placement, again, the universities are the minority because, like this year alone, 870,000 students sat for KCSE exams last year. The results came out in January. Out of those results, only 170,000 attained a grade of C plus and above. About 600 and something thousand are between C plain and E. So again, in terms of numbers and statistics, universities are the minority. Majority of Kenyan students are supposed to be placed in non-university institutions. And majority of the KCSE students will not get C plus and above. They will get C and below. So we need to make that very clear because of the misconception in the country that COOPS exists to place students in the university. The examination that you're going to do this year is called KCSE. And KCSE, let me also clear some misconception around there. KCSE is not a university entrance exam. In some countries, they have or they administer university entrance examinations at the end of high school. But in other countries, Kenya being one of them, we do not have a university entrance exam. So KCSE is not an exam that is supposed to take people to the university. KCSE is an end stage examination where after you have sat and you get your grade, you use those grades to establish or to find what is called a pathway for training and development. So for those who have scored a certain grade and above, they might decide to go to the university as their pathway. So they move to the universities. Those who have scored C plain might decide to establish their pathway in diploma areas and join either TTCs or national polytechnics or TVET institutions. Those who have got C minus, the same. They establish their pathways in diploma courses. Those who have D+, D plain, they establish their pathways in craft and certificate courses. Those who have got D- and E, they establish their pathway in artisan courses. So at the end of the year, you will do KCSE, and when the results are out, it only gives you an opportunity to establish a pathway. You go where you belong. So for those who are going to the university, well and good. But for those who are not going to the university, that is not the end. You have alternative places to go. So that is a key mandate that we are in charge of at COOPS. We again advise the government on all matters relating to university and college student placement. We collect and retain data on university and college placement. We develop career guidance programs for the benefit of students, teachers, parents, and all the other players in that ecosystem. So for students in secondary school, we offer career guidance programs to those in Form 2 and in Form 4, like you. For those in Form 2, at the end of the third term, they are moving to Form 3, they are making subject selections. So we come in to guide them in terms of the subject combinations that are required with respect to different professional careers and areas of study, so that when they're moving to Form 3, they are well guided. Somebody might, for instance, be so interested in doing engineering, but they have no idea that for you to do engineering, you need 3 subjects, 3 sciences and mathematics. So they may be very good, but then the school tells them, you know, you can choose at least 3. So they drop physics. But then they want to do engineering. In Form 4, they are choosing engineering, they have got an A or an A- or whatever. Then they are told, no, you cannot do engineering because you did not sit or you did not take physics. And then it is too late, you cannot go back to Form 2. So we offer guidance at that level. And then where you are now, because you are faced with an examination, the KCSE examination, we again have a program, a package for candidates like you, which we are doing now, to number 1, inform you about the institutions that exist where you can take your training. Number 2, to inform you about the programs that exist in those institutions. Number 3, to tell you the requirements that you need to have to get to those institutions. And lastly, to advise you on the funding opportunities and sponsorship by government. For parents, we have what is called now Parental Empowerment and Engagement Program, because the parents of today are not like the parents of yesterday. The parents of today are educated, well-informed, well-traveled. They themselves are also professionals. So we have a program for them to make them involved and make them to be participants in their children's career guidance and career knowledge and career information. Again, we have a program for career guidance teachers because we have 10,500 secondary schools in this country, and we owe them a duty as COOPS. One time we made the calculations and we said that for us to reach all these schools and talk to them like I'm talking to you now, it would take us 30 years. A whole 30 years to visit all the schools that we have in the country, secondary schools in the country. So the teachers, the career guidance teachers and the principals are by extension our representatives and agents at the school level. And so we have a program to again sensitize and train them on the activities that we do, so that when we're doing center application, they at least can give you guidance. They have some understanding, some knowledge, and some idea on what is out there and what COOPS does. So, how do we place students? I think this is this is a question that is ringing in all of us minds. how do we place? The placement policy is based on, number one, merit. Students are placed depending on whether they are merited for that course or not. So the most qualified candidate gets placed first. Across all the programs. Then there is what we call affirmative action. Affirmative action is a constitutional issue, and affirmative action takes place in 3 levels. Number 1 is gender. Number 2 is PWD, or persons with disability. And if you're a person with disability, you need to register with the National Council for Persons with Disability, have a membership number and a membership certificate, so that when you are placed, that fact of disability is considered. Otherwise, if you get the registration after your KCSE, then it will be deemed that that disability came after your result and therefore could not have affected your performance, despite the fact that you may have been born with that disability. So, especially for principals and teachers, please guide students accordingly and make sure that if you have any who have any form of disability, whether physical, hearing, visual impairment, and so on, you guide them to register and get the certificate. And the last is what we call marginalized areas. There are places in this country that are extremely marginalized, and they benefit from some form of affirmative action. The other principle of placement is students' choices. You see, for you to be placed, you must apply. You must request to be placed, and you must make a choice. So, in your 3rd term, we will communicate with the principals, and you'll have about 90 days, nearly the entire of 3rd term, to make choices, and they will guide you within the school. So, if you don't apply, then you will not be placed, because placement is based on your choice. The application system will allow you to choose your preferred courses in your preferred institutions, and then you rank them in order of your own preference. So there is choice 1, A, B, C, and then choice 2, choice 3, choice 4. And then there is that is for universities. And then you come to TTCs. Again, you make your choice. Then you come to TVET institutions. You make your choices on where you want to go and what you want to study. So during that period in 3rd term, we will sound communication to all the principals in the country. So be alert. And the principals, the application fees is 500. Let me tell you, it is always good to make application while you are in school. Because if you don't do so, or let me start by saying why it is important that you do so. At school, there are teachers who are professionals in their own right. There are teachers who also have gone through that exercise, because teachers are trained. So they also chose colleges. They have participated in that application. In school, there is the principal, who is our agent, and who has a link to our portal called the Principal's Portal. So you can be assisted in terms of guidance, in terms of logistics, and technical support. If you don't do that, and then you go home after the results, and then we advertise for what is called first revision, now you will go to the cyber. And the cyber person has no idea. In any case, what they want is to serve as many people as possible within the shortest time possible, so that they get as much money. So number 1, they'll tell you for COOPS issues, 1,000 shillings first. That is not application fees. That is the money that you'll give them, because they'll tell you, no, these COOPS issues are very complicated. It takes a lot of time and a lot of bundles. So for COOPS, 1,000. So you pay 1,000. Then they start now helping you to register or to apply. Mind you, they are not trained. They do not know. Sometimes you give them money and then they don't even upload that money. Sometimes they will just, drop you in places You tell them I want Moi and Rongo and Maseno and KU and Kenya Polytechnic or whatever. But because they want to serve many of you, because the line is busy, because everybody now goes there, they will just drop all the courses that they had isolated themselves. So they just drop. You have no way of knowing. So all of you are placed in the same place. Sometimes you'll not be placed because you do not qualify. Sometimes they even use their own telephone numbers. So if we are making any communication to you about where you've been placed, it goes to him or to her. They will not recall because of the work that is involved. So they have really misled and misguided students. That's why we advise that please do so at school level. You have better people to help you because they have walked that path. How then do we know what we can do? How do we know what to choose? How do we know the institutions that we have? All the degree programs, and your teachers will please leave their telephone numbers and email addresses because I will send to them what is called a cluster document that they will again share with you at school level. All the programs that we have are captured in a document that is called the cluster document for degree programs and for diploma programs and even for TTC programs. So these clusters, a cluster is a group of related programs that share the same criteria in terms of admission. So if we are talking about medicine, a cluster of medicine. So we have medicine, we have pharmacy, we have nursing, we have dentistry. All that is grouped in one cluster because there are groups of programs that share, they're similar. Say business. So we have BCom, we have business management, we have business administration, we have, all of those clustered together. Teaching or education, that's one cluster. So we have B.Ed Science, we have B.Ed Arts, we have BA with education, BA, AGED, that is Agricultural Extension with education, Special Needs Education, and so on. So for each and every, for a group of related courses, they are clustered into one. So computer and IT. So BSc Computer Studies, BSc Computer Science, BSc Information Technology, and all of them. Agriculture the same. So this cluster is where the 4 subjects come, what you call the cluster subjects. So for each and every cluster, there are these 4 subjects that are mandatory. You have to do them and you have to attain a certain performance level. When we share them, your teachers will print and share with you, maybe put in your library so that you can study. Enough copies in the library so that you can have time to slowly study what you want as an individual. So these clusters are what are equivalent to career pathways. So you'll choose, you'll read, and then you choose. Look at what is called transition. You see, when you're in primary school, you transited 100% to secondary school. And you've been to Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, and now you are in Form 4. The requirement is, when you get to Form 4, you should again transition 100% into colleges and universities. Why? Because the country has spent resources on you. And these resources are not gifts. These resources are investments. A country invests in its young people, in its students, so that at the end of the secondary school cycle, you again move to the level of training You identify a career that you are excited about, that you have a passion for. You move into that career, you train in that career, and then you graduate and be able to perform the functions of that career. Either as an employee, so you get a job, you are employed, you get a job. And when you get a job, you again work towards development of your country, national, economic, and social development of your country. Because you are no longer a student, you are somebody who has gone through school, college, and now you're supposed to work and serve your country and develop your country. And also support others, the same way you are now a student and other people are working to support you. So by the time those people are retiring and exiting that space, it's you who should occupy that space. Secondly, so that you can be self-reliant, you can create a job for yourself, by yourself, earn your own money, earn your own income, and rely on yourself as a human being. Because parents or guardians are not going to be taking care of us forever. At some point, they will also exit so that we take over. Because we also will be parents at that time. So we must have a duty to our children and to ourselves. So look at the sheer wastage of resources and facilities and equipment if you don't move from Form 4 to colleges and universities to train for a career. Look at that wastage in terms of resources, wastage in terms of manpower, wastage in terms of time. For all the years you have been around, you terminate without going to college. Yet the government sponsors you and pays part of that bill for you so that you can learn a career, so that you can pursue a profession, and so that you can also be of use to yourself, to your community, to your society, and to your country. So it's imperative. You must already be thinking about what you want to do. And there are so many. In universities alone, we have about 2,000 different degree programs. In TVET institutions, we have 4,000 different careers. But when I ask you here, most of you will talk to me about the traditional courses, the traditional careers, the traditional professions. Law, engineering, nursing, math, law, engineering, nursing, medicine, teaching. What else? Yeah? Maybe they're all, is it? That's all that you know. The traditional one. So not all of you are supposed to be teachers. Not all of you are supposed to be engineers. Not all of you are supposed to be doctors. But when you look into what I will share with your teachers, you will see the very many options that you want, that are existing, that you can pursue. Who wants to do beauty therapy, for instance? Beauty therapy. At diploma level, or at craft level, or certificate level. Beauty therapy, you give people massage, you do manicure, you do pedicure, you do hair and nails and so on. Who wants to do that? No one. Oh, there's one at the back. Who wants to do it? Okay, one, yeah, there's one person who wants to do that. I encourage you very, very much to choose that and go for the 2 years, if it is diploma level, clear it up, and then you'll open your salon and employ yourself and also employ other people, and you will not miss money because everybody goes there. Before, people thought that salons and such things were only for ladies or for women. But today, everyone goes. Children, women, men, young people, everybody. By the time the person who did anthropology and sociology is walking through offices, knocking and showing their degrees and masters that they're looking for a job, that lady who wants to do beauty therapy would be running 4 or 5 salons in these cities. One in Homa Bay, another in Migori, another in Rongo, another in Awendo, and making money every day. There are very many of them. So look out for what is available and what you want to do. You don't have to be confined by what other people have done. And here we also tell parents that they don't have to achieve through their children what they failed to achieve when they were children. Your parent is telling you, you know, do medicine, do this, do that. I only want you to do this. Because they wanted to be that, but they didn't perform to be that. So they want to achieve that through the children. That's why we are talking of parental empowerment and parental engagement. The parents, the guardians can guide, they can advise, but it is you who is going to school. So listen as much as possible to what the teachers will tell you, to what the parents will tell you, but make a choice because you have to live with that choice for the rest of your life. And it is about you. There are very, very many of them. How do you choose a career? As a student, you need to establish some things. Number one, you ask yourself, what are you good at as an individual? What is it that you feel excited about? Because we are different. Some people have qualitative minds, others have quantitative minds. There are people who see things in terms of numbers and graphs and statistics. That is how they see the world. That is how their brain works. And if you're one such person, then you ask yourself, what are some of the courses or what are some of the careers along this? There are also others who have a qualitative mind. They see the world in terms of emotions, in terms of human beings, in terms of relationships. So if you're one such person, you ask yourself, what are some of the careers, or what are some of the professions alongside what I want? Don't go to nursing, but when you are playing in the field and one of you falls down and injures their knee, you start screaming when you see blood because you cannot bear that sight of blood and pain and anguish. You cannot bear. When you take your little child or when you go to the hospital for an injection, at your age, you scream like a child because of the pain, the fear. When you are told, oh, a guest has come in, get to the pen and get a chicken, slaughter it so that we can, prepare it very quickly for the man of God who has come to offer prayer at your home, you start crying because you cannot slaughter a chicken. Not because you are stupid in any way, not because you are lazy in any way, but that is just you. You cannot just bear a knife and put it on the chicken because you fear blood. How then can you pursue nursing? You are not wired that way, is it? You'll tell your younger brother who is 7 years old to go and slaughter the chicken, and they will do it within no minute. So people are different. You don't just choose a career for the sake of it, but you also must look at yourself and ask yourself the question, what am I good at? What excites me? What do I enjoy doing? All the time, from Form 1 to Form 4 you are in the school choir, or you are in the national, in drama club, and without you, the club is not complete. Before you come for practice at the dining hall, they're waiting for you, because you are the best actor or the best actress, and it flows in you naturally. And you have represented your school, lifted the trophy at regional level, sub-county level, county level. You have performed at the gala before the president. You are the one who is leading your school. It's called performing arts, theater and performing arts. And then when you graduate, when you clear your Form 4 and you get a C plane, where does that talent go? And you say you cannot go to college because, you wanted to do nursing, or you wanted to do engineering, or you wanted to be a teacher, but now you are not going. Yet you are extremely talented, and there are colleges, government colleges, that train people in that area. And I'm sure you know people who are earning a living through that. So ask yourself, what do I enjoy doing? And how can I pursue my passion now as a career, not as a passion, but as a career, so that you train in it? What does the world need? That's also another question that you need to ask yourself. What are the gaps that exist in the labor market? Need for the services for your career. You know what we are lacking, or you need to know what we are lacking today. What does the country lack in terms of ICT, in terms of digital economy, in terms of professionals, in terms of food security, agriculture, and so on? So make a choice to go for those careers where there is need, not to go for careers where there are excess people who have been trained and graduated. Then you ask yourself finally, what are the next steps once you identify your career? Is there a need to benchmark? Is there a need to find out what other people know or what else is happening? All careers lead to a job. All careers, there is no useless career. All of them lead to a job or an occupation. Make yourself just different. Just make yourself different. And the work of making yourself different rests with you as an individual. When you show passion in what you're doing, when people see and can feel that you enjoy what you're doing, when you have soft skills, when you can adapt to new environments, when you are someone who is observant and you are asking questions all the time, you're asking what you can do, you are asking where you can volunteer, even without payment. You're asking, you are all out looking for information. You'll get it. You'll meet with the information because all those opportunities are out there. And all the information will only be available to those who seek for it. So I need you to think seriously about yourself as an individual, as a candidate who will be writing their exams not so far from today. I need you to think about yourself as somebody who is going to pursue a career for self-employment. At the end of it all, you must make sure that you train to do something. You are trained at doing something. When you are making the selection, there are things that you should avoid. Number one, do not select the most competitive courses in all of your choices. You know, there are courses that are extremely competitive, very, very competitive. and all of you want to pursue them. So if you make a mistake of only applying for the competitive choices, then there are people who perhaps have scored higher than you. You run the risk of not securing a place. Because, like I told you, placement is based on merit. Those who qualify first, or those who have higher grades, will be considered first. Therefore, if you make selections based on only the most competitive choices, you run the risk of not securing a placement. Look at it this way. Yes, there is this thing that you so want to be. But if you don't become, what next? Is that the end of life? Yeah. So you so want to be a teacher because you admire your teachers and you admire the school environment and you like communicating with your students. Sometimes even whilst you're waiting for your teacher, you're already in front of your class, teaching or even mimicking a teacher, how Madam so-and-so teaches or how Mr. so-and-so teaches. Those are things that you do. And it is not wrong, by the way. Do it because it means there is something you love about that profession. There's something you love about that subject. So you so want to be a teacher. Then, for education, mean grade, C+, then education arts, in English, at least C plain, in mathematics, at least D+, and then at least C+ in the 2 teaching subjects. So if for some reason you don't make it to be admitted as a teacher, do you stop living? Is that the end of life? No. So that is the same philosophy you should use when you are making your choices for careers or for placement. So I so want to be a teacher, but if I don't become one, then the next is this. Then in terms of your priority, then the next is this. Then the next is this. That is the 4th choice. So don't make first choice medicine, second choice engineering, third choice architecture, 4th choice, all of those competitive programs. So all that is in the region of very highly competitive programs. So if I miss this, can I settle for that? If I miss the other, can I settle for that? That would be reasonable selection. When you are selecting, again, don't leave some choices blank. Make choices for all of the groups that need to be filled. Choose courses, don't choose courses whose subject requirements you don't meet. You know yourself. There are some courses that have subject requirements because they are regulated by professional bodies. So law, for instance, is regulated by Council for Legal Education, and they have subject requirements. Degree, you must have C+, and then minimum of B plain in either English or Kiswahili. So if you have A- and you have B- in Kiswahili and B- in English, you don't qualify for law. But somebody might lie to you and tell you, just go to another country and do law, and you'll come and practice as a lawyer. Yes, you will go there because that country has different qualifications and different requirements. So yes, you'll go to India, you'll study your law, you'll come back. When you come back, you now want to join Kenya School of Law so that you can be admitted as an advocate. And that is regulated by Council for Legal Education. And you will fill the application forms. You will put your brilliant law degree from India or from whichever country, UK. The first document they ask is Form 4 certificate, because that is a regulated program. Did you score at least B plain in either English or Kiswahili? The answer is no, you scored B-, and therefore you'll never see the inside of Kenya School of Law, and you never practice in any court in this country because you did not get information about the regulatory requirements, subject requirements for that course. Medicine, the regulatory body is Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board. Requirement, C+, mean grade. Minimum subject requirements, biology, chemistry, mathematics, or a language, B plain. And so on and so forth. Nursing, the same. Education, the Teacher Service Commission. Engineering is being controlled by Engineers Board of Kenya. Architecture is being controlled by Architectural Association of Kenya. Even nutrition and dietetics. There is this person who is so passionate about, I want to finish, then study a course in nutrition and dietetics because I want to work in the food industry. It also has its subject requirements. So make sure that you know and you have scored the subject requirements for that particular program before you go or before you make your application. But if you want to study food sciences, that is not regulated. So that you open your food kiosk, or so that you open your hotel, or you work in a hotel, that is food and beverage. That is not regulated. It's the only nutrition and dietetics that is regulated. When you are making the choice, again, provide the right contacts. We give you a platform for putting your contacts, your email address. If you don't have an email address, please, after this, ask your teacher or your teachers to help open email addresses for you. And then they'll give you passwords so that you have your own email address, which you'll retain for the rest of your life. We will communicate with you through that email address. We will also communicate with you through the telephone numbers that you will have. Don't use the telephone numbers for your teachers, please. Because by the time COOPS is communicating with you, you are out of the school. By the time COOPS is communicating with you, that teacher has been transferred to another school. By the time COOPS is communicating with you, that teacher long left TSC service, is working with the county somewhere, or is working with the national government, or is doing his or her own private things somewhere. So don't use your teacher's telephone numbers. Use parents / guardians. If we don't have parents, we have somebody who is responsible. That is our guardian. That is the number that we use. But I know these days, again, some of you have telephone numbers. Even if you're not using them in school, but wherever you have left them at home, you can still use them. Because by the time we'll be communicating to you on that phone, you'll no longer be a student. So sometimes students will say that, you know, I leave it home, it's off all the time I'm in school. So I don't want to put the number because they will call me and the phone is off. We are not calling you now. We are calling you after results are out and you are now a private citizen. Now you have access to your phone. We have seen a lot. Don't use the telephone number of the cyber guy. We are saying this because we have seen from feedback that students fail to get information. So imagine you have been placed, but there is no way you will know because the contacts that you gave cannot reach you or they are not available. So don't all the time provide the right contacts. Select only one course in one institution. Don't select so many courses in one institution. Just one course. Let me tell you something also that we have seen. Students should choose courses or programs or professions or careers. But we have seen cases where students choose institutions. UON, KU, Moi, Egerton, UON, because you know you get into a bus and you travel by bus the whole night. So you think it's funny. Or because it is in Nairobi. So for you, UON or nothing. So you'll choose UON, UON. Let me tell you that all the universities are the same. All the universities are the same. I can say that on authority because I have taught and worked with so many universities. I've taught in universities. And I can tell you they are all the same. There is no university that is better than another. So don't choose universities, don't choose colleges, choose a program. Bachelor of Education Arts, University of Nairobi. Bachelor of Education Arts, Rongo University. Bachelor of Education Arts, Turkana University College. Bachelor of Education Arts, Garissa University. Bachelor of Education Arts, Tomboya University. Bachelor of Education Arts, Bomet University College. All those certificates and qualifications are the same when you're going to look for employment. The Teacher Service Commission will register you the same way. And you don't get a mark during the interview, 1 mark more because you are from the University of Nairobi. And you don't get a mark less because you are from Garissa University. All those are the same. But the mistake that students do is they go for, obviously, a lot of people know University of Nairobi because it has been here since 1971. So it has been around. If you are called Brian, is there anybody called Brian here? Or is there a lady called Mary here? Mary. Huh? If you are called Mary, raise up your hand. Hey? Okay. Yeah, Mary. Mary, which school are you from? Huh? Owirakoko Girls. So if I go to Owirakoko, and how many students are you in that school? From Form 1 to Form 4? Maybe the teachers would know. The teacher from Owirakoko, what is your student population? 1,000? 700. So if I go to Owirakoko today and I ask the watchman at the gate that I would like to see a student called Mary, 95% chances will be, you're Mary who? Mary Tumaini. Yeah? Yes. 95, even before I finish, the watchman will ask me, you want to see Mary Tumaini? Not because Mary Tumaini is special in any way or is notorious in any way in that school. But Mary Tumaini has been in that school for 4 years. And therefore, the Mary Atieno of Form 1 who came last month will not come to mind. That is the same way these institutions are. UON, KU, Moi, JKUAT, Egerton, Maseno, Masinde Muliro, they will come to mind quickly because they've been here for years. We know them. But Tomboya University was chartered in August last year. That is how many months ago? About 6 months ago. So we will not know it. It will not come to the top of our mind. So, my dear students, when you're making your choices, don't choose institutions. Choose programs. The competition in universities and colleges that are popular is so high. Why? Because this is how we do placement. Bachelor of Education Arts, before we place, we communicate to all the vice chancellors and all the principals of the institutions, and we tell them to give us the capacities and the programs that they want to offer, where they want students to be placed. So they communicate back. So Bachelor of Education Arts, 300 students, Moi. How many people are going to apply for that program? 12,000. But we cannot place one extra. We only place up to the capacity that was declared and approved by us. Declared by the institution, approved by us and the Commission for University Education. and TVETA for programs of TVET. So we first ask ourselves, or we run in the system, all the 12,000 students who have applied for Bachelor of Education Arts More University. And then the system starts ranking them. From number 1 to number 300, then it stops there. Why? Because the capacity that was declared by the institution has been filled. So from number 301 down, they cannot get, because it is ranking. Now, 12,000, for those of you who are doing biology, when you are conducting research, the population, if you have 12,000 students, you can imagine you want to start ranking them from number 1 to number 300, you can imagine you will get the cream of the cream, is it? There will be A minus and so on. By the time you're coming to B plus, you have got your 300, and that is the end of the ranking. Now, the 300th student that has been admitted into that program sets what is called the cutoff. So the cutoff for Bachelor of Education Arts for More University that year is the grade or the points that have been attained by the last student to be placed to fill the capacity. So that is what happened. That's why people miss good courses, because they chose universities that are famous or that are popular. And then there are people who have performed way better than you. They will get in. So you lose your dream of becoming a teacher because you didn't choose a university or a college that is not so popular. Like I tell you, please remain with that we choose programs, we choose careers, we choose professions, we don't choose institutions. Have I made myself clear on that? Please learn from those examples. And from now on, it is not about the institution. Any institution that is listed under COOPS is approved by the Commission for University Education, is approved by TVETA Authority, is approved by the Ministry of Education. Any college that you'll find on our website, any college that we place students in is approved by the government. How then should you plan before you make the choice? Visit universities and learn about their courses. There are universities around here. You can visit them during the holiday, go to the registrar's office. You can request your principal to organize a tour for you into that university so that you know what they offer. Research on the courses, meet with the college representatives, do what we are doing here now, this meeting. We are talking about courses, we are talking about programs, we are talking about choices, we are talking about COOPS. So that is part of how to get the information. So in conclusion, candidates, I want to wish you all the best as you'll be sitting for your KCSE exams. It is not probable, but it's possible, that you may get another official from COOPS talking to you about this subject that we have discussed today. It is not probable, but it's possible. So maybe this is the last time you are seeing or you are having a discussion with an official from COOPS talking to you about career guidance. But please make a commitment that by the end of your KCSE, you would have made a selection. You would have made an application so that from Form 4, you proceed to a university or to a college of your choice to pursue a career, to pursue a profession, so that you can become a productive member of your society, beneficial to your community and also beneficial to yourself, because you are moving into adulthood. you're moving into a space of independence. You're no longer going to enjoy the full support and facilitation that you're getting from parents and from guardians. Thank you very much. I think we may take 1 or 2 questions, if there is any, and then give answers to them and call it a day. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening to me, and God bless you. There is a mic moving, a roving mic. Now it is time for you to ask any question or any clarification that you need. If there is no question, I don't want to believe there is no question. I've done this for years, and everywhere I've gone, at least I've been asked questions. So if there is no question, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. There's one there. Feel free. Maybe we can take a round of questions and then. Yeah, I'll write that so you can help me with the pen. Yes, go ahead. Question 1.
My question is, for example, if you want to do a course, but you don't intend to do it in Kenya, maybe in Tanzania.
You don't intend to do it?
In Kenya.
Oh, okay.
In the country, maybe in Tanzania or in other countries. Is there a disadvantage of doing that this when you come back to Kenya?
Is there what?
A disadvantage.
Next question. Yes, that side.
Okay. Why is it that some students who get A receive calling letters, while others who get A don't receive calling letters to the universities?
While others who?
Who get the same grade A don't get calling letters to the university.
Next question.
Okay, my question is,
Yeah.
there is normally this belief that if I want to do medicine and someone else also wants to do medicine, I get an A plain and the person gets a minor, I am most likely to do medicine, but the other person will be given another course, maybe nursing. Is it true?
Ebo? Repeat the
Okay.
question. You get an A, you want to do medicine, then
Yes.
another person gets
And
A
there is
minus.
another person who maybe missed an A plain with 1 point and also wants to do medicine.
Yes.
Is it true that this person will be given another course such as related to medicine but not medicine?
Okay. Next question. Yeah, there is one here. There's a hand. Yes.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
It's just based on medicine issues. Okay, so my question is, niseme, in a school, there is a lot of students who have attained the A grade. So you find that maybe the first person is being chosen and there is a gap in between. They went the person. So how is that done? Are you getting me?
No, I'm not.
Okay, what I'm meaning is this. Let me say we are 12 students who have scored an A and we want to pursue medicine. So it's not that all the 12 students are going to be chosen for that course. How is that done?
Okay. Now I understand. And that question is related to question 3, the question that she has just asked. So I'll answer them together.
My next question is, for example, you want to do, let me use nursing as an example. You want to do nursing, but then the grade that you are getting in secondary school maybe is down. And then, but you have a passion in doing this. And then somebody is getting an A and also doing the same nursing. But I know one disadvantage of time. Can you also, for example, if you start with the diploma, and then you attend the same thing after a period of time, and then you enjoy the same benefits?
Okay, I get it. Next question.
Okay, my question is, why is it that people will apply for the universities in school, but then you find that when the calling letters come back, one is called to a course that they did not choose?
Okay.
I really want to know about the ranking. Is the ranking done according to the first person to apply or the grade you attained?
Yeah, I think I can answer this. Or you take the last. There's one here, yeah. Then we answer them, then we come probably to another second round if there is any other question.
Okay, my question is this. Sometimes our teachers tell us that we should choose subject according to the career we want to do, and sometimes they tell us we should choose subjects according to our interest. Go ahead. But when you want to choose that subject, which you are not passing the most, but you want to do the career which contains that subject, the teacher discourage you from doing the subject. What should you do?
Because you are not passing in that subject.
Yes.
Anyway, okay. Now we can answer. Now, the first was about outside the country. Do we place students outside the country, and is there any disadvantage? There is no disadvantage if you can afford to study outside the country. That is well and good, but you will pay for yourself. You don't get government sponsorship. But if you apply through COOPs and you are placed by COOPs within in institutions within Kenya, then you get the government sponsorship. So there is no disadvantage. The people who have studied out of the country, if they can afford, well and good. However, if you're going to go out of the country to study, and you are going to pursue a course that is regulated, be sure that you meet the subject requirements for that course, even if you're going to study it outside the country. We have about 33 regulatory bodies, about 33 courses that are regulated. So you do your research, ask. I gave the example of law. Law is C+ mean grade, B plain in either English or Kiswahili. There is nothing else. So if you are going to study law in the UK, make sure that you have the regulator set subject requirements. If you're going to study medicine in Cuba, make sure, number one, C+ overall, and a B in one Kiswahili or English, B in mathematics, B in biology, and B in chemistry. Study it, come back, you will be registered by Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board. If you want to study education, just make sure that you meet the subject requirements for performance as set by TSC. That is if you are looking forward to being recognized and registered and employed by the relevant body that is in charge of that program. Why is that students who get A's don't receive calling letters? Everybody who applies to COOPS will be placed. But I want to make two distinctions here. Placement and admission. COOPS does placement. COOPS places you to an institution of your choice. The institution where COOPS has placed you will give you an admission letter. So there is a possibility that you applied and you did not input your details, your address, your everything. COOPS has placed you. We communicate that decision to the institution where you have been placed. The institution has no way of reaching you out because you did not indicate your contacts. COOPS has no way of reaching out to you because you left that contacts field blank. So you may not have received your calling letter from the institution, but you have been placed. And you may not know you have been placed because you did not indicate. So, like I said in my presentation, make sure that you fill all the fields, all the blank spaces that are supposed to be filled adequately. And even when you're giving the right address, when you're giving the address, please use the correct address. Sometimes we have seen cases where you use your neighbor's address and you didn't tell them, and then they hide your letter because probably they feel bad you're going to college and their child has not gone. So there are also those sensitivities and those social dynamics. So if you have a trusted person, use that address so that you get your letter. Then there was the issue of medicine, the two questions that I combined. Medicine, A-, you are 12 students, you have scored an A, and then one is not taken to medicine and so on. How does COOPS place? You know, what you have are your results, and these results have your grades only. But as at COOPS, we have your grades and your marks, what is called performance index. So you may all have A's, the 12 of you. You have no idea of knowing. But us and NEC, we can rank all those A's and still get number 1A up to number last A of the 12 students. So placement is based on two things. Number one, merit and capacity. So, if you have chosen Bachelor of Law, Kabarak University, and they had a capacity of 30, we will rank all the students who have applied for that program and grade them from the first to the last in terms of performance index. And the last student, the 30th student, will form the cutoff for that program in that university in that year. So you may think that you have an A, but when we rank the performance index, your friend who also has an A or even an A-, because you can have an A-, but you have A's in all the 4 subjects. You have an A-, but you have a B+ in English and a B plain in Kiswahili. Then there is this student who has a B+, but has A plain in English and A plain in Kiswahili. So those are the subjects that will be used in ranking for that program. So that is how it happens. We don't use the grades. We use performance index that only COOPS and NEC has. Then there was the question of starting with the diploma. If you want to be an engineer, you love electrical engineering, then you got a B minus, and then you are not called for engineering. You have been called for something else. Can you start with the diploma? The answer is yes, you can. You can start with a diploma in electrical engineering in a university or in a TVET institution or a national polytechnic. You clear, and then use the diploma to now move to degree. Except you will be, for government, during the diploma level, you will be sponsored by the government. Now when you're moving to degree, you will be a privately sponsored student. Because for degree, we only place and sponsor that cohort that has sat that year. But for diplomas, you can get the sponsorship. So it is possible, if you can, and you want to so passionately pursue a particular program, you can start with a diploma. There's nothing wrong about it, and you will receive government sponsorship. People who are called to a course that they didn't choose, yes, that is very possible. And how does it happen, and how can you avoid it? This is how placement is done. The first is called center application, the one that we do at school with your principal and with your career guidance teachers. After you have done that, Mark, you do that application when you don't have results, right? So when results are out, like we will advertise shortly, we will advertise for what is called revision, first revision. First revision is done for two reasons. The first reason is for you who applied at the center to revise your choices, because now you have your grades. Number two, for that person who never, for whatever reason, was not able to apply during the center, we give them a second chance to apply. So, after we have run and done placement for the first revision, if for whatever reason you have not been placed, we will get in touch with you. We'll put your name in our website. We'll send you messages in the 2 telephone numbers that you gave. The message reads, so and so. This is in reference to your application for placement by COOPS. We are informing you that you didn't merit any of your choices. Please revise. Then we open the portal for second revision. You can now take that chance to make a revision. If you don't revise, still you will not be placed. Second revision up to third revision. So if you don't revise, we will not place you because you don't merit any of the courses that you have chosen and you did not revise. So what happens? You have made an application. We have your application. But you have not qualified for any of the courses that you chose. And you have not taken the opportunity to revise, despite the fact that you have been reminded. So this is what happens. We will look around for any university which has capacities that have not been filled up. The system knows how to do that. So we will drop you in Bachelor of Anthropology in Garissa University or in University of Nairobi or in Maseno, whatever. Why? Because Maseno, when they were giving their declaration for programs and capacities, they wrote that they have capacity for 800 students. How many students have been placed? 600. How many capacities are yet to be filled? 200. So the system will roam around looking for anybody who has not been placed and then roam around looking for any institution where there is still a program that has not been filled and drop you there. So that is the answer to the question, why are you called to a course you did not choose? Or why are you called to a university or to a college you did not choose? So to avoid that, when you receive the information that make a revision, don't be strong-headed. Go to the cyber and revise the choices. First revision. Second revision, most likely you will be placed, and therefore you will not receive the notification. If at the second revision you again get the same message, go. Don't say, no, these scoops people are now disturbing me. I got a message to revise. I went there, I revised. Now they're telling me to revise again. I'm not going to revise. No. Walk back, make a revision. We have first revision, second revision, and third and final revision. It is not likely that in all these 1, 2, 3 revisions, you will not miss placement. You will get to be placed. But if you didn't make a time to go and revise, that, what I've explained, is how the system will treat you. Look around for any institution where there is capacity, and you can imagine where a capacity has not been filled up. What does that tell you about that program? Number one, it is not very popular, is it? What does that tell you about that market? So if you wait to be dumped to a program which is not popular, you are a statistic. You're now being dumped to fill the capacity. So to avoid that, please, at all times, revise if you are called upon to do so. If you are placed at the first instance, you will not even receive the message to go and revise. You've been placed and you've been placed. When we release the report finally is when you will be told which institution you have been placed to and which program you have been admitted to. So that is how it works. Thank you. Unless there is any other burning question. Yes, there is one. We can take maybe another 2 or 3 questions and then we close. There is one. Yes. 2. The only 2. Don't go back and say, I wanted to ask him. But now that time you'll be back in the dormitory. We will not be here. Yes. They will ask you in the bus, but you say you wanted to ask. Why didn't you ask? And you were given the opportunity. Yes, so these 2, they're closing the session. Okay.
Suppose you have chosen a course and your parent doesn't want you to take that course.
Yes.
I was asking that. What are the limitations of taking 2 courses at the university levels? And how can you do the selection concerning the humanity subjects?
2 courses?
At university level.
At the same time?
Levels. How can we do the selections concerning the humanities? And what are the limitations of taking 2 courses at university level?
2 courses at the same time? Or when you are making the application?
When making the application in any institution.
Okay. You want to do 2 courses or you apply for 2 courses?
When you apply for 2 courses.
Okay. Okay, I get you. Thank you. I'll start with the last question. When you are making the application, you apply for 6 A, B, C, then 2, 3, 4. So those are 1A, 1B, 1C, then 2, then 3, and 4. So you need to apply for all of those courses because you may miss. There is choice 1A. Choice 1 is usually a group of related. That is to say, you so want to be an engineer. So choice 1 is engineer. That is what ranks top in terms of your passion, in terms of your ambition, in terms of your priority. You want to be an engineer. So choice 1A, Bachelor of Science, Civil and Structural Engineering, Moi. 1B, Bachelor of Civil and Structural Engineering, Maseno. Choice 1C, Civil Engineering, UON, or Tomboya. So that is choice 1. They are related, but institutions are different. You are gambling with the fact that the cutoff for this university might be lower than in this university, but you will end up in the same program, in the same career that you wanted, which is civil engineering. So choice 1, A, B, and C, different institutions, but invariably similar or related programs. Choice number 2, a totally different institution and a totally different program. That is now, you are coming alive to the fact that I so want to be an engineer, but I may miss this course. So what happens if I miss? I think if I don't become an engineer, I want to be a teacher of engineering students. Now, choice 2 is Bachelor of Education Technology. Now, students who are doing education technology are doing engineering courses at that level, but they are being taught to teach in TVET institutions and also in some secondary schools. So you see, number 1 is I wanted to be an engineer. The question is, what happens if I don't? Now I want to teach engineering students. I want to teach those who are going to teach engineers. So again, Bachelor of Technology Education. Now, how about if I miss my first choice of wanting to be an engineer, and again, I miss my second choice of wanting to teach engineering students? Now, I want to teach science courses. Because, you are so oriented in that field, sciences and so on, like, engineering. So now you come to Bachelor, that is choice number 3, Bachelor of Education Science. So your teaching subjects would be maybe physics, mathematics. You see, you still that engineering mind, is it? But you're now working down on how to deploy that engineering mind or engineering talent or career. Then, that is third choice. The fourth choice, what happens if I miss all the 3? Now maybe let me try to do something else. I'm done with science and engineering. Now I want to be a teacher of arts. So Bachelor of Education, Arts. Another different institution. Or I want engineering. What happens if I miss engineering? I want to be an agriculturalist. What happens if I miss being an agriculturalist? I want to be a computer scientist. What happens if I miss computer scientist? I want to be a teacher. See, all those are different careers. But you cannot, so you will apply to all of them, but you'll only be placed in one. So you cannot be a university student or a college student pursuing 2 programs at the same time. No, you can't. You'll only be admitted for one. Then a very important question of, you want to do this, your parents want you to do that. It's very, very common. In fact, it's as a result of that problem that we came up with the program of parental engagement and parental empowerment on career guidance of their children. And in my office, sometimes I get very funny cases. The child is here, the mother is here, and the father is there. The mother is saying, I want you to change for her engineering, UON. The father is saying, I want you to change for her medicine, UON. The child is saying, I want Bachelor of Music and Dance, KU. And they're all there. All of them. So, what do? You offer guidance to all of them. I remember a case of medicine. The child has been admitted for medicine. The mother is a magistrate in Nairobi, senior principal magistrate. The child wants to do music. So we are guiding that at the end of the day, it is the child who is going to go to college, is it? But as a specialist, I know there is the relationship between music and medicine. Because today, we use music even in healing, is it? In therapy. So I must guide the child, I must guide the parents, and establish to them that there is still a relationship, there is a connection. We use music in therapy, in healing, in medicine. We use nutrition in medicine, in hospitals. So you give information. And then you also tell the student, you know what? There is this lady that you admire so much because that's why you want to do music. The lady is called Wahoo. And you also dance to the music of the husband. The husband is called Nameless. So you're being influenced by Wahoo and Nameless to do music. But did you know that Wahoo did architecture at the University of Nairobi? And Nameless, Wahoo did mathematics and economics at the University of Nairobi. And Nameless, the husband, did architecture at the University of Nairobi. So there is something we call a career, there is something we call a passion, there is something we call a profession, and these things can still meet at some level. So just go and pursue this for a career. But while at it, you can still learn music because there is Geothe Institute that offers music. There are several other colleges that also offer music and so on. So there is no problem. Just go to the university and study this and come back later on and do the same. And therefore you'll be someone who is more empowered. So whenever the parent wants you to do this and you don't want that, that should not be a source of disagreement between you and your parent, because you need the blessings of your parents. What you do is take the parent to the teacher, to the principal. Take the parent to the pastor. Bring the parent to COOPS so that their knowledge is expanded. Sometimes we just do things not because we mean bad, but we lack information. So by the time you're done with the session at the pastor's office, the parent will be empowered. You'll say, okay, I thought, it requires this and that. Kumbe, now I know it is something different. And then you'll be told that that job of hair design, hair, beauty therapy and so on, is not about the career after all, but you can make a living running your own business and so on and so forth. So thank you so much. Those were very, very important questions. And these questions, I am being asked the same questions, whether I am in Mombasa, whether I am in Kitale, whether I am in Busia or Kisumu. So these questions cut across all the students. Thank you so much. We hope to engage further through the documents that I will share with your teachers next week. So anytime you need more information, your teachers now have my number. They will call and we can guide them to guide you. We can even put them on speaker. We call back and we tell the teacher to put the phone on speaker so that we talk, you hear, and if you have questions, you ask on the phone at our cost. at our cost. Even if the conversation is going to take 1 hour, we will just call back the number of the teacher, and the teacher will say, there are these students who have this and this query. Please talk to them. We'll just tell them, disconnect, we are calling you back. And we will, the teacher disconnect, we call back, we request them to put the phone on speaker so that you listen, they also listen. And we again engage with you until you said, I have understood, and now I'm okay. That is when we will disconnect the phone. Thank you so much.
What do you say for that good talk? I hope all of us have benefited, and we'll make better choices for our future. I'm seeing a hand. Yes.
Come, teacher. Come.
Sorry for interjecting. I would have asked this question before Dr. sat down, but just allow me ask. Doctor, there is a question that almost popped in, but it was again channeled differently. Allow me ask it. Somebody was asking about being at the college or a university but pursuing 2 different courses. For example, we've heard of people that have got a Bachelor of Architect and at the same time having a Bachelor of Laws. Giving example, His Excellency Dr. Babu Owino. We hear of him having 2 courses that he